The Difference by William Zeranski. Sitting on the stoop outside the back porch door, Joe rested his forearms on his knees. He breathed in the morning air. A ball cap he wore shaded his eyes. Not a cloud in the sky. The sun glowed warm, friendly, and impartial. Waldo, a shaggy mongrel of a dog, lay in the stone slab at Joe's side, his head in the shadow of the eave, his lower half protruding into the yard. He breathed rhythmically, dozing. "Well, you just going to lie there all day?" Joe looked at Waldo, who glanced back with one eye. His tail wagged a few times, flailing in the tall grass. Joe noted that the lawn still needed to be mowed. "You reminded me of something I have to add to my to-do list. Not that you care, right, dog?" The wagging increased. "Oh, well," Joe began to rise, testing his ambition against the task, then settled back down. "Soon," he said, "soon enough." "You know," Joe mulled a thought for a moment. "You know, Waldo, I've heard it said that the difference between a flower and a weed is a judgment. But that kind of assessment never quite set well with me." He looked at his dog, who looked back with that one eye. "Don't get me wrong. I know it's a philosophical statement, metaphorical, because it's really about people, how to sort them out." Waldo continued to gaze with that one eye, but the wagging tail eased to a flutter and stopped. Joe scanned the yard, seeing how a slight breeze tickled the tops of the tall blades of grass and the dandelions, which flourished in a multitude of random clusters. Prompted by his previous thought about flowers and weeds, he leaned over and plucked a dandelion. What we have here, interestingly enough, is a weed flower, and it shows up every year. No seeding required, and it's there, all over the yard. It's a pretty yellow flower, really, but it's something a lot of people don't want, don't like, and have no interest in. People are always working very hard at getting rid of it. People are always desirous of that perfect green lawn, like greener pastures, never satisfied. He slowly rotated the stem between his fingers, studying the thin petals of the flower. But you can make wine using the blossoms. You can even pickle them if you harvest them soon enough, and even eat the leaves. This weed flower is considered an herb by those who know better. He glanced about the backyard. Off to the left was a nice little patch of growing things. Not so much a formal garden encircled by decorative stone or brick, but an informal and an irregularly shaped flower garden. Roses grew there, sometimes abundantly, sometimes not. But presently, only buds worked their way to profusion. His wife Millie managed the garden, doing the weeding, pruning, caring, and feeding. Now, looking at it from the flower end of it, a flower is still a flower, but it's the rarity that seems to spawn an interest in its beauty, and that's all. But remember, a flower can be very rare, so rare that it's very expensive to acquire and difficult to maintain, and more than a little bit demanding. Like people, don't you think? Waldo hitched himself up on one paw, scratched his neck with the other, then laid down. Both eyes closed, and he let out a deep, drowsy breath. "I seem to have lost your interest." Joe grinned and reached down and pulled loose a dandelion leaf. He considered the serrated edges, the green hue, and put it between his teeth and chewed.